think about my money and how much I've spent, how quickly I spent it, and where it all went. Sometimes I regret it, sometimes I don't care. If my wife knew the value of my collection, I'd need to be in your prayers. Some men like to gamble, some men like to race, some men like to party, to drink and fall on their face. But I've been collecting knives since the time before MySpace. Some are fixed blades and I have many that fold. Some go down in value, but some appreciate like gold. There's a feeling inside, a hole in my soul. If there isn't a new knife on its way to my home, order a full custom, get on a wait list. Could be a year or three.
Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be taking a look at another new design from Golden Design Works. This time it's called the Slim. Now, the pre-order goes live on this on Sunday, December 1st at 10 a.m. Pacific. Why does anybody give Pacific time? Nobody cares about Pacific time zones. That would be 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, December 1st. Now, as I understand it, the price ranges are going to go from $299 to $339. So keeping in line with what Blaze Golden likes to do, offering really high-end design, good quality materials at a super affordable price. Now, let's take a look at this and see what all we have here. That was the outer box. Inside of the outer box will be the zippered pouch and your Velcroed PVC, not sticker, patch. Looks like you're going to be getting an optical grade cleaning cloth, and then right inside here, the most important part, the knife itself. So what are you getting here? Is this a button lock? No. Is it a type of compression lock like the smock lock? Sort of. What you're getting is a traditional standard Michael Walker frame lock. So it operates just like any normal frame lock. However, you also have this pusher, this button that goes through the frame underneath where the blade sits, and it will push the lock over for you if you'd prefer to hold it in that manner. So you have multiple methods of deployment as well as multiple methods of lock disengagement. So that's pretty cool. The only thing this knife is lacking is a flipper. I really wish it had a flipper tab. Now, I guess you could probably, you could front flip it if you're a front flipping kind of person, but I wish that little dead space right there was a corner top flipper. That would be fantastic. Maybe even better than having a standard flipper tab. But for some reason, when I pick up this knife, I instinctively want to flip it. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you. So yes, you can use the button to release the tension on the lock bar and flip it out from there if your timing is right, which for me, it's about 70% of the time. I can finger flick it off of the blade window. I can finger flick it. Can I off the thumb stud? No, I can't. You might be able to. It's just the leverage point for me isn't quite right. I can thumb flick it off of the thumb stud. I can slow roll it off the thumb stud. I can thumb flick it off the blade window and then front flip it off of the tang extension coming out the front of the knife. Overall, it's got a lot of wild things going on. So all those methods of deployment and, of course, the lock disengagement. Then the little details, like the way the anodized titanium pocket clip is milled, just looks a little bit different. The teardrop shape of the thumb studs. I absolutely love this. That is my single favorite feature on the knife. Once again, with the divot in the pivot, matching divot in the lock. A divot in the pivot. The wonderful milling that's been done here in the frame. Something else that Blaze likes to put into his designs. The nicely sculpted 3D machined titanium pocket clip. And everything matching. So your back spacer, your pocket clip, all of your hardware, the thumb studs, pivot, lock, everything on this version anodized blue. There are going to be a couple of different options for you to pick from. I like this one a lot. Looks really, really good. The jimping on the spine of the blade is adequate. I'm not going to say that it's amazing, but it works. It just feels like it could be a little bit sharper. Now, while I have the knife down and out of my hands, let's move it over here. Bring up the specs and talk about what you're getting. Your overall length is going to be 7.61 inches with a blade length of 3.36 inches in CPM MagnaCut. Your height is only 1 inch, very slim, very, very narrow. Your blade stock thickness is 118 thou, nice and slim without being delicately slim. It is riding on ceramic bearings held in place with a ceramic detent. And the OEM, once again, on this project will be Bestech, which we know for having solid locks, good edges, good heat treat, and smooth, wonderful actions. And this is certainly no exception. I think they did a fantastic job all the way around. I will say this, though. It seems like everybody going to Bestech is just simply opting for what Bestech does so often on their own designs, with this matte, bead-blasted titanium look. It's almost as if you can tell a knife is made by Bestech just by the finishing. And that's kind of weird because they really do a lot of different finish options. But I think that maybe because they do such a nice, clean, uniform finish, that a lot of people just go, you know what? That already looks really good, and I think that's going to look good on my design, so let's go ahead and do that. Same thing for the stonewash. Most people seem to opt for stonewash with Bestech. And Bestech will do belt satins, hand rub satins, all kinds of different finishes. I can't recall ever seeing a mirror polish from them, but I'm sure it's possible. So, yeah, it's kind of weird. All Bestech models kind of tend to look alike because of the finishes chosen. Oh, one more spec for you that I forgot to give you. The weight is only 2.8 ounces. This is really lightweight and easy to carry. So, this lock is being called the Fusion Lock, and it is a patent-pending design. Notice how it's not coming over like the Smock Lock does into a liner lock. It is actually pushing a frame lock. And again, Golden Design Works has done this in the past. So you do have the feel and operation of a traditional frame lock. So if you're like,
I don't want to use the fancy button.
You don't have to, man. You could be the old timer that just won't change with the times. It's all right. And then you can very easily disengage the lock like you do with your Sabenzas or any other frame lock that you've got. Now, there will be some changes from this prototype to the production model. And where could I put this to have that and the text on the screen? I guess I'll do my normal. All right. I believe it might be easier just to put the text on the screen instead of try to point out each individual spot on the knife itself. But here is the list from Blaze. He says that he has adjusted the handle around the pivot and pivot screw area with a boss to achieve flushness with the pivot and pivot screw. Okay, so I will show you this close up because that was something that I was probably going to be nitpicking, that I didn't like this. How the pivot is proud, the pivot screw is proud of the frame. Don't like that at all. So it looks like they're going to be doing the same thing they did on this side, back here. He says they have added a slight ramp on the thumb studs to make opening more comfortable. Sweet. That would be great. That was a little bit of a hot spot I felt on my poor precious little thumb. Says he removed the flat to curve transition to the top of the blade right past the jimping for a cleaner. I don't know what that means. Removed the flat to curve transition, the top of the blade, right past the jimping for a cleaner look. Not really sure what that means, but any improvement is good, sure. Added a shoulder pin under the pocket clip to keep the clip from rotating. That's always important. Although I don't feel any flex in this one. They want to keep it from rotating and moving. That's a smart idea. And he says they've adjusted the pocket clip landing area so slightly so that it doesn't stick out past the clip. Okay, so I could probably show you that as well. That little guy right there. A lot of times when there's milling on a frame and the pocket clip is pinching on that area, it can tear up your pockets a little more fast than they normally would from carrying knives. So what a few designers have been smart enough to do is to create a smooth area at that pinch point. And that's what he's done here. So it looks like they're going to reduce the size of it a little bit so you don't see it as much. Honestly, I don't think it sticks out badly at all. But it's very easy for the designer of their own knife to overly critique their work. I think it looks totally fine, but he wants it to be perfect. And I'll be honest with you, Blaze is a perfectionist. If you look at his previous designs, they're wild and they're cool, but they come off as a very clean and simple look, even though there is a lot of design that goes into them. So he's having to devise interesting little things to trick out the knives, and he's having to rein himself in from over-designing, and that's very, very difficult to do. And I think that's why I like his work so much. Now, the Slim is not my favorite of his designs. That would go to the Nugget. I think the Nugget was brilliant. What a sweet little knife that was. But this is probably my second favorite. I really do like how it feels in the hand. It is slim. It is small. I like having the finger choil here to choke up onto. It's going to make it really easy to make this a usable knife, even though it's only a 3.36 inch blade. Now it allows more of that frame, more of that handle to get into my larger hand. That's perfect. I like the dimple in the pivot because it gives you a space for your pinch grip for your cutting. I like that a lot. And that's something I might steal from Blaze. What I typically do is I do a flat pivot on my designs. And I kind of dig that. So I'll check with him and see if he's okay with me stealing that. Because I kind of like that. Now, I would only do that if I was doing a really large pivot, to be honest with you. But the more I play with this, the more I enjoy that. And I believe I had enjoyed that. I think that he did it on the Nugget as well, and I think I had really enjoyed it there. The only divot I don't enjoy on this is right here in the clip. It doesn't do anything bad, but for me, when I go to grab the knife, my finger is going to want to naturally go into that, which obviously that's what it's for. But when I do that, I will tend to pinch harder, and that's going to want to keep it in the pocket a little bit more securely. And for me personally, that's a me thing. Maybe you don't grab your knives like that. Maybe that's not going to force you to squeeze that tighter. You might be the kind of person that grabs from underneath your clip. I don't do that. I don't like doing that. I will tend to grab here, but I kind of feel like with this, my finger is going to drop into place naturally there. And just for me, that's one minor little nitpick for me that I don't really think is going to affect a great many people. But the action is really, really nice. Everything feels tight. Everything feels secure. Everything feels smooth. And as far as the ergos go, you've got a very neutral ergonomic setup here in the handle. And I'll be honest with you, I like how it feels. There's no hot spots. Nothing rough on the edges of the frame, even though you do have defined edges going all the way around. Sure, it could have probably benefited from a little chamfer going around, but I don't feel any issues with it whatsoever, even if I give it a good hard squeeze. Nothing. I'm perfectly happy with that. Great job. Anyway, that's it for me for now on this. Thank you, Blaze, for letting me borrow this to review it. I apologize it took me so long. I've had this knife sitting here for like a month. I've just been so busy. I now have 5 YouTube channels, and some of those reviews just take a lot longer to do than others. Try reviewing guns and gun accessories. Now you got to make trips out to a range and go shoot them and stuff. Very, very time consuming, and I'm not very good at my time management skills. So I apologize to Blaze for having this as long as I have. I hope that didn't hold you up from sending this out to someone else, but I'm going to get this back out in the mail to you today. And thank you all for joining me as always. If you're interested in my other channels, please do check in the video description here. I have them all listed, from my watch reviews all the way down through all my EDC stuff. Please go check them out and subscribe, because the quicker they grow, the more content I get to provide. Anyway, thank you all for joining me as always, and I'll see you on the next video.